Folks, welcome back. Hey, today we're going to start on, this is just some minor maintenance I need to do. This is an all power. Um, I think I purchased this about 2005, but I really don't remember. It would have been right around that time frame. This is one I've used quite a bit. And my brother and sister-in-law has used it a couple of times. A neighbor of mine at my old hometown used it a time or two, and it's always worked great. It is a propane only. Again, it's an all power. It's a 3800 watt surge and 2800 watt continuous. So what's going on with it right now is, since I've moved to South Texas, the relentless heat and humidity is doing a number on the propane hoses that's internal to this. So today I'm just going to open this up and get the propane hose off that is degrading. It hasn't started leaking yet, and I want to keep it that way because that could end badly if I let it continue. Anyway, I want to try to get that replaced, and then also, while I got this far, and given the amount of hours it's had, I'm guessing it's probably got maybe 100 hours on it. I want to go ahead and check the valve lash on it. Since I'll have it opened up and just pop about 4 bolts out, and it'll be fine. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just going to get these green covers off the top, and then open up the top where the propane regulator goes inside here. I'll get that out of the way, and I'll move the camera around so you can see what's going on inside there once I get that far. And get the hose off, and that's going to be about it until I get a new hose to replace it. And then I'll check the valve lash, and I'll bring you along for that, and we'll put it all back together and test run it. Here we go. All right, I want to move you around here and show you what's falling apart on me here. Hang on. All right, this is the back side here. Set up here so you can see it. This is the purge valve. When you first connect the propane to it and open the valve on the propane tank, you press and hold this for 3 to 5 seconds, somewhere in there, and then let it go. And that purges the air out of the line and gets propane right up here to this the main regulator, which is under here. But here's what we got going on. This is like weather checked here. This outer rubber hose. Now I know this is a long way from rupture because this is just an exterior lining on hopefully a metallic hose. I don't know, but I'm not going to risk it. So when I noticed this last time I did a test run, I reached up there and checked it, and I saw this weather checking on here. I said that's it. It's out of service until I get this fixed. So I'm going to. This is the hose that comes from where it connects to the exterior of the panel on the other side out here. So the tank connects on the front of the panel, comes up through this hose and goes through this the regulator here, and then this hose comes down and goes to the carburetor. And if I can, I want to replace both of these. The reason I really like uh, propane only is I never have to worry about old gas in here. I can have propane sitting around for years and hook it up, start it up, and everything will run fine. In fact, there's not even, looking at the carburetor on here, there's not even a bowl on it So I would have to have a whole new carburetor in order to run gasoline through this. So, and that's fine. I'm okay with a propane only generator. I have a couple of other generators, larger ones, that are dual fuel, and that's fine too. Neither of them have ever had gasoline through them unless it was test run at the factory or something that way. But since I've owned it, they've been propane only. But I've got several, getting a growing number of gasoline powered generators as well. So anyway, that's it for now. When I get this hose off, I'll show you where I took it off and what the hose looks like removed, and we'll go from there. Okay, hopefully you took your nausea pills, because you are free from the tripod. All right, here's where one end of that connected. Before I quit for the day, I'll put a little piece of tape over that. I will explain that in a minute. And there's where the other end was connected. It comes in, there's a solenoid there, and that's basically the protection, like low oil shut off, that kind of stuff will trip that solenoid and turn fuel off to the thing. See, function as like a backup kill switch or whatever. You see, the hose actually, I cleaned this. I spent a few minutes cleaning this up with some WD-40 and some degreaser, and it's, I mean, just kind of pawed at a little, and it's a little better than it was. I got some rust I want to try to clean up here before I put this all back together. Looks like the throttle setting down here. The reason I'm going to put tape on there and probably put something to cover that up is I used to work in an industry where the concept of foreign material exclusion is a big deal, and I really don't want debris of any kind falling into these and fouling the carburetor later on. The thing with the generator is, yeah, it's true, this one gets run once a month as a test for maybe 15 minutes and may never see actual service again. But if I need it then, not after I tear everything apart and clean it up. So that's why I will do my best to keep foreign material from entering the system. And next we'll do, while I'm working on trying to find a replacement hose. Let's see. This is the hose here, and again, it's seriously weather checked. It's not so bad out on this end. If anybody knows where I can find like a breather tube, this was pretty rotten too. On this end, I cut a good piece of rubber from a different hose, actually a little piece of fuel line. It was the largest fuel line I had, and it fit into the breather opening on the valve cover. And then I used some marine grade shrink tubing to join that to the existing. But then the existing breather tube, again, it was pretty rotten, so since it doesn't have to carry pressure per se, it just kind of moves oil vapor back out here to the carburetor so it can be cleaned up, reburned, or whatever. I just coated this with like liquid electric tape and let it cure before I put it all back together. And so far it's been hanging in there, but I really would like to find an actual breather tube for it. And as one might guess, having purchased this probably in around 2005 to 2008 time frame, somewhere in there, most of the parts on this thing is discontinued. I mean, I can get most of the engine parts being Honda clone, but anything else, anything specific to the generator, like this breather tube, that kind of stuff, it's discontinued, so just pretty much unobtainium. So anyway, let me know if somebody's got some helpful comments on where to find this kind of stuff. That would be awesome. And that's it for now. When I get ready to do the check the valve clearance, I will bring you back. Here we go. We are a few weeks later than where we previously left off. And I struggled with finding some parts and things. First of all, and I'm going to give these guys a shout out here pretty soon when I do this part, but I was able to get the original hose from the manufacturer's been long since been discontinued. So I went to a local company, which I will point out here shortly, and they were able to fix me up no problem. So we'll cover that more in the very near future. And then I also found a few parts. Hold on a second. I had in the past I had looked for parts all over the place for this because of this breather tube I pointed out. Well, this one place has a lot of parts. They didn't have it before, but I'll just go ahead and check it again. And sure enough, this is a company in the UK, and I have purchased from them before. And lo and behold, they actually had the breather tube that I need to replace this rotten one. And then I was looking, and I'll show you more in a little bit. But up here on top, the governor spring is pretty rusty. And the thing about rusty springs is they'll still work, they'll still be a spring, but the tension actually changes over time with rust. So these folks in the UK also had governor springs. So I ordered one of those. Oh, the whole thing came to like $7, $8, something like that. I don't know. Wasn't terrible. Shipping is about the same amount, of course, coming from the UK, but it takes a little while. That's fine. Um, anyway, yeah, I got that, and then I got I sourced the new propane hose locally, and that was I prefer to do local business when I can, and so that worked out really well. So today I just want to check the valve clearance on here, the valve flash, and see, because this has got, I'm guessing, somewhere around 100 hours of use. I don't know. There's no hour meter on it. It was never that fancy of a generator. It's always worked very well. It's never failed to start. We had quite a power outage here a couple of years ago. This thing ran a whole lot of hours over about a 3-day period. So uh, it worked just great. It's not real powerful. I think I mentioned previously that it was something about 3,500. It's a 3,800 surge and a 2,800 watt max continuous. So, and it'll easily do a couple of thousand watts. It just goes and goes as long as you have propane. So anyway, I just changed the oil in this a month ago, and cleaned and regapped the plug to 30 thousandths. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the plug out of here. I'm gonna get this breather tube out of the way. We'll get the valve cover off and check the valve clearance. Here we go. I'm gonna pull the plug out because I want to make sure I want to do it the recommended way. I'm going off of a Honda GX200 data. This is a clone, but it's most closely most closely matches a GX200, which is like a 6.5 horsepower, between 6.5 7 horsepower, and I think I believe it's 196 cc's. Is what I'm thinking. So I do have the recoil mechanism pulled off the front just to make it a little easier to roll this engine over. Plus, with the plug out, there's no resistance, and it's a little easier to see when we're top dead center. I want to wait until I get this valve cover off here. Plug your ears. I guess it's just going to dangle in our way here. Yeah, the gasket came off pretty clean. It's good. Oh, it's looking nice in there. I'm going to grab a grease rag here. Hang on. So I'm going to use using the Honda clone measurements, and the intake valve is supposed to, that's this side since the carburetor's over here. Intake valve is supposed to read 6 thousandths plus or minus 1 thousandth, and the exhaust valve is designated as 8 thousandths plus or minus 1 thousandth. So right now we've got, looks like we've got the intake valve closed. I want to rotate this. All right, it comes on the intake stroke. It should be right about here. We've got both valves fully closed, so we're going to call that top dead center. And I can see the piston in here. I don't think I will ever get the camera lined up so that you can see down in there. One thing you always want to watch on these overhead valve engines, especially the clones, sometimes they took some liberties with the push rod guide plate down here, right underneath here. If there's any wear and tear on this plate, go ahead and get it replaced, because you don't want that push rod. If you get some wear in here, the push rod gets off to the side, and then pretty soon it pops loose, and you've got big problems. Hopefully, just a new head would fix it. But and then you also want to be real careful. There are openings down here that if you drop small parts, it doesn't look like this has the. A lot of times these engines will have a little keeper thing right here on the very end of the valve, and you've got to be real careful. If that pops loose, you could end up with that down in the engine, which won't be a big deal, except now you got to disassemble the whole thing to go get it back out. So you got to just be real careful with that. So anyway, we are top dead center, so we'll do both valves right here. Let's see what we got on the intake side. Again, I don't know if you can read that, but 6 thousandths should be between 5 and 7. So try to keep my grubby hands out of the picture here. 6 doesn't really want to go in there. I could probably force it in. 5 goes with just a little bit of drag. Let me try 6 again here real quick. Yeah, 6. Yeah, I could force it in, but we're going to say that's in spec. All right, so then the exhaust valve is supposed to be 8 plus or minus 1, so we're going to get 7, 8, and 9 out here. I've got brand new feeler gauges, and I haven't got them broke in yet. There we go. We'll just start here with 8. 8 goes with quite a bit of drag. 7 thousandths goes in with just, it seems like the right amount of drag. Well, I don't need to adjust these. It is in spec, and that is a little amazing with the number of hours it's on here. Although this looks nice and clean in here, so that's good. And I can see, I don't know, this camera's not so great. I could try to focus in on there. Tell you what, I'll take a couple of still photos with a good camera and show you that there's not really, I mean, they've got extra wear, looks like neoprene maybe, or nylon push rod guides in here that's keeping it from wearing down. So I'll grab a couple of pictures of that real quick, and I'll insert them right here. All right, got those taken care of. I'm just going to wipe this gasket down here and make sure it's nice and clean. No no debris. We'll get this thing back on here. Alrighty, got this valve cover cleaned off a little bit. I didn't spend a whole lot of time, just get the old grease off of it and so forth. And I'm using torque specs that I got from a Honda GX200 service manual. So I cleaned the gasket, appears to be nice and clean. It's not wrinkled or anything that way. So we're going to put this back together, and then I'll see if I can put the new breather tube in. The torque value I'm going to use on this is supposed to be 7.5 foot-pounds. And I got my torque wrench set for that, and I just checked it. I'm going to do a video another day if you'd like to see that, how I check the calibration on these. It's not super scientific, does involve a little bit of math. This is a 1/4 inch drive torque wrench, and yeah, it's a Pittsburgh forge, lifetime warranty. And I've seen a lot of videos, both plus and minus, on these things. I've never had a problem with them. So I checked the calibration, and it is a little close to the edge on the high end. It goes up to 200 inch-pounds. 7.5 foot-pounds, I think, should be about 90 inch-pounds, 90 inch-pounds. And that's what I've got checked at. So I'm going to go ahead and torque these down. I'm just going to get them all good and snug to start with. Let's widen it out here so you can see what I'm seeing. It doesn't have a real loud click like a lot of them do. My 3/8 drive does a little better job of that. All right, that's all of those. Like I said, my fix on this was, it was getting me by. It was rotten, so I put some marine grade shrink tubing over this part, shrunk it down. Of course, marine grade's got the adhesive that melts as you shrink it. And then on this side, it was really rotten here on this bend, so put the liquid electric tape on there, let it cure, and slid this piece of marine grade shrink tubing on there, shrunk that down. It's been hanging in there, but I was I was happy when I saw this become available with Generator Guru there in the UK. They've got an amazing amount of parts for a lot of different rigs. Look there. I mean, it's like it was meant to be. Get the plug back in. I'll pop you up here in a minute, show you the governor spring that I want to replace and where the engine speed is adjusted so that we can get the frequency set accurately. This one is supposed to have an AVR, an automatic voltage regulator. So we mostly just need to set the frequency and let the AVR take care of things voltage wise, but we'll see. It's always been pretty close in the past. All right, good to go there. Hang on, I'll show you the governor spring. All right, a little look down from the top. Got the plug here. This is where we'll set the governor speed, and that is based on the governor arm moves here. Try not to move you around that much, but there's throttle control. And like I said, this is pretty rusty here, so I'm gonna get that changed out, and then I'm sure we'll have to adjust. I will have to adjust the speed on this a little bit just to touch it up. Hopefully not bad, but I'll put you on pause for just a minute here, change the spring out, and then I'll bring you back and show you. Well, I want to show you, put the new spring on. This should be an indication of what the issue is. It's too long. This is not the correct spring, and I'll just hold the old one up here next to it. Got it evened up there on this end near my index finger. We come down to this end, you can see the original is it looks like a half an inch shorter. So let me look through my assortment of other springs and see if we can fix this. Otherwise, we'll stick with the original. Yeah, hold on. I'll bring you back when we're done here. I'll get this sorted out. Well, I gotta tell you, this ultrasonic cleaner, I put that spring in here. I couldn't find one at the right length, so I put the rusty old spring in there with some 9% vinegar and some heavy duty, a simple green heavy duty HD, and ran it for a total of 20 minutes. And let me go out here in the sunshine and show you. This thing is rust free. We just use air compressor to dry it out. So we'll shoot a little oil on there, and we'll put it back in. We're going to call it good. I had mentioned previously that I used to work in an industry where foreign material exclusion was a thing, a very important thing. And so I mentioned I was going to put some tape over here. Well, I did. I'll put the good kind on there. Some Gorilla tape. Anyway, I want to get this uncovered. I want to install this hose, and then I want to flash up the contact information for the folks that fixed me up on this, because man, that was kind of a lifesaver on this. I would be dead in the water without that hose. And it's not something you're just going to buy from the manufacturer anymore. It's discontinued. So I'll try to show you what I'm doing. Putting a little gasket that comes with these compression fittings. I saved the ones out of the old hose because they're in really good shape yet. I'm just going to make that snug for now until I connect the other end, and then I'll adjust the position on these. There's the kind of a fiber washer thing. Okay, I got that fiber washer in there. Let's see if I can get this started on there without cross-threading. Okay, if I'm in your way, sorry. I'll give you your money back. All right, I'll lay this down and then see what I need to do to tighten these up. I do not have torque values for these, so it's going to be Armstrong torque value. I am using a backup wrench on these, so hopefully not twisting anything off that doesn't need to be twisted off. For sure, I got a thunderstorm rolling in. Haven't heard any thunder yet, but man, the clouds are looking kind of suspicious. So completion of this may get delayed a little longer. It'll be just a few seconds for you folks. Do the final tighten by hand. Impact wrench. It's got a little more horsepower than I like for something like this. These are not what you'd call heavy duty fasteners. I'm not going to put these back on until I test run this thing, so I think actually we're back up to where we need to be to do just a short little test run, hook it up to some propane and make sure it'll fire up. So, oh, I got to put the recoil back on. I'll show you that. All right, I'm going to get this just screwed back in place. This one was a little unique. I had not come or hadn't realized this. Like I said, I've owned this generator for a long time. I never really had this much of it apart before. All I ever did was change oil and that kind of stuff in the past. But this has got a little adapter ring on there, and I thought, what would it be like if I just put that straight back on there? Well, for whatever reason, the recoil is too deep. It bottoms out in here, so they put the rather than change that in the design, they just slapped a plastic adapter in here. I guess that's fine. I mean, it seems to work, but and it's in good shape for its age. It's not too bad. But it does only go in here one way, just like that. All right. Okay, I will get the workbench cleared off here so I don't have stuff falling all over the place. I'll get a little propane set out here and see if we can make this baby make some noise. Yeah, we're going to see if we can make some noise with this thing. I just checked the oil a little bit ago. Like I said, I just changed it last month when I test ran it. And it was, it was all good at that point. I just checked it. It's still good. There's no leakage or anything, so I didn't expect it to be down. And so I'm going to turn the tank on. I got propane hooked up, and I'll turn the tank on. There's a fuel valve over here marked start and run. There's an engine switch. So I'll get those configured properly. There is a breaker right here that I'll not turn on until we're ready to start looking at it. And over here, it does require a choke. I don't totally understand that with propane, but hey, whatever seems to work. So let's proceed. Tank is on. Engine switch is on. We are in the start position. Breaker's off. Choke is on. See if we can make a. Oh, got a purge here. Hopefully that's enough. Let's see what we'll get. It does take a little bit to get a propane generator going. Choke off. Run valve. Good run. This is not on yet. We got to turn the breaker on. 124.5. It'll hurry soon. Pretty slow. 49 hertz. I'm going to adjust the governor over here. Since I messed with the governor spring, I'm not surprised that it's running a little slow. I'm only able to get the frequency up to 50 hertz, so I'm going to have to change the position of that spring. It's make it a little less sensitive. So I want to let it adjust it back out where we started from, and I want to move the spring over to the next hole out from the pivot point on the governor. So I'm going to put you on hold while I go grab a tool. Be right back. I had to try out a couple of different positions with the spring, but under load, right now I've got the heat gun pulling about 1,400 watts, which is 50% load. That's 50% of what this is. It's going at 2,800. It's doing pretty steady, 60 hertz at 123.7 volts. So I'd say we're successful. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, put the covers back on, and we'll give it one final test. Working like I think it should. I don't like when it's with no load on it, with the heat gun turned off. It the frequency drops down to below or right around 50 hertz, and I don't know why that is. I guess never really measured it before. So, but as long as it's working good under load, and I tried it at 50% of the heat gun. It's around 700, between 700 and 800 watts that it pulls. It does the same thing. It goes up to 60 hertz, 120 volts, 121, 122. So it's all good. Let's get her back together, give it one last try, and put it away. All right, let me get it down off of here. We'll set it up, do a final test on it. All right, let's go over here away from the noise. I've got a heat gun and also an electric heater, and I went ahead and measured the high and the low settings for each. And it turns out if I turn on my heat gun, that'll be 1480 watts. I'll turn that on high, and then if I turn the heater on low, that's another 1250 watts. That's going to put us about 2730 with a maximum 2800 continuous. That puts us about 97.5% of capacity. So I'll do that one at a time. I'll turn the heat gun on high, let that run for just a minute or so, turn the heater on low, and let that go and see if it can handle it. And that should be a valid test. So I can't really say much over there. I don't think you can hear me, so I'll just go do that. Okay, that's the step on top here. It's actually not even 100. Okay, so that's the heat gun on high, so it's about 1480. It bounces around a little bit. That's about what it is, 1480. Sounds like the generator's handling that okay. Now I'm going to go turn the electric heater on low, which is going to bring us up to just pretty close to max capacity. The propane regulator I have on there, I'm surprised it's supplying that much propane to it. It's really not big enough for that, but it's working. Generator doesn't like it, but it's doing it. And like I said, that puts us about right at 97.5% of rated capacity. So we'll call that successful. I'm going to go out and turn off the heaters and let it cool down just a little bit. And we'll call this one done. After that cools just a bit, I'm going to just turn off the propane to it. That way it'll empty the line. We're not wasting any propane that way. Alright, shutting down the propane right now. Most excellent. Alright, set it for next time. This goes back to start. Engine switch off, breakers off. Excellent. Thanks for watching.